Do I look tired to you guys? I am tired. I've been staying up late reading and researching and trying to wrap my head around this thing called the Metaverse.
The Metaverse.
The Metaverse.
The Metaverse.
The Metaverse.
Man, that is a word we've been hearing a lot of lately. And you know, it reminds me of something.
A promotional video put out 5 years ago by Apple Computer envisioned people talking to computer terminals and to one another through video phone links.
Or maybe it was this other thing.
And now there's a new form of cyber matchmaking, college networking websites. Is this perhaps the next big thing? Creator of Harvard's thefacebook.com.
Or wait, maybe it was this. Do you remember this?
There is now a new note that people are starting to talk about, the Bitcoin.
Are you seeing a pattern yet? The metaverse is the next evolution of the internet itself. It seems like every 10 years or so, something comes along that transforms the world through radically innovative network technology. From the internet itself going mainstream in the early 90s, characterized by static sites and minimal interaction. Then social media in the early 2000s with blogs and wikis and social networks and more. Mostly asynchronous interaction. And then blockchain technology in the 2010s characterized by permissionless access, decentralization, self-sovereignty, and now the metaverse, characterized by real-time, immersive interaction and experience. Maybe we call it Web 4.0, even though the vast majority of the world is still catching up to Web 3.0. It happens. The term itself, the metaverse, is an interesting one. Meta is Greek for beyond or after or transcending. And it's come to mean something like a self-referential prefix. So in this case, universe being our root word, and the metaverse would mean beyond the universe, or a universe of universes. It was coined by sci-fi author Neal Stephenson in his 1992 novel Snow Crash. Now, when Stephenson used it in the book, all he was really referring to was a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, something we'd call an MMORPG today.
Well, what I envisioned then was what we would now call a massively multiplayer online 3D world.
But the term, again, continues to evolve. Today we use it to describe digital experiences with a sense of three-dimensional space, immersive technologies like virtual reality and augmented reality. Think Ready Player One, though that is simultaneously a simplified and exaggerated version, thank you Steven Spielberg. This is more or less what Mark Zuckerberg means when he says the metaverse. And I'm sure you've heard Facebook changed their name to Meta a while ago to reflect their shift in focus. It's like when Google created a parent and holding company called Alphabet in 2015, because when you have all the money in the world, you tend to diversify your interests and get into new things. And that's what Facebook is doing here. The company is about more than social networks as we've come to know them, and the new name reflects that. But unlike Google, whose name change reflected a wide diversity of efforts, Alphabet, A to Z, Facebook is going all in on this one idea. At the Facebook Connect event at the end of October, Zuck explained what the metaverse means to Meta. This was an hour and a half of Facebook people explaining their vision and why the metaverse would be so great. And I could really spend a long time just responding to the Facebook event and their history and what we should expect from them. Tell me if you want to see that in a separate video. TLD watch. There are many reasons to be extremely dubious of Facebook as a builder and caretaker of the metaverse. They are poised to be a primary player in the space, spending billions to create the technology and drive adoption, but thankfully, there are thousands of other independent operators building the metaverse, and the ultimate metaverse that we see in the future won't necessarily be built in Facebook's likeness. Let's look at some of the more independent Web3 players in the space. Decentraland. If you're going to spend time in a decentralized virtual world where you have a genuine and lasting stake in building and interacting, then decentralized real estate makes sense. That's Decentraland, a 3D space for real-time interaction, whether that's VR-based or browser-based. The project was launched in 2015, held an ICO in 2017, and finally launched in 2020. There are about 90,000 parcels of land in Decentraland, discrete NFTs, pieces of virtual space that can be bought and sold on their marketplace, along with other digital goods like gear and apparel. There's an associated cryptocurrency, Mana, M-A-N-A, that is a de facto currency for everything in and around Decentraland, and the place is picking up traction lately. In June, Sotheby's, a huge art auction house in the real world, opened a gallery in Decentraland. In October, they held an in-world concert with deadmau5 and some other hot artists. The whole project is governed by a DAO, and the Mana token has really popped after Facebook's rebrand to Meta, as have virtually all other metaverse-related cryptos. It's a super interesting project with a lot of potential and some potential downfalls. Getting something like this right and finding real adoption is as much about timing as anything else. You have to build early enough that you beat competition, but not so early that you don't have the right tools to build or the people to join. Think about the social web. There was Friendster. That was frankly way too early, and most people don't even remember it. Then there was MySpace, which got a lot right, but the ecosystem wasn't quite ripe yet. Then there was Facebook. And to his credit, Zuckerberg showed a masterful ability in delivering the right set of features at the right time when rolling out that early social net. It's incredibly hard to do this, and I think a lot of people who get it right, while they have to be brilliant and capable and bold, they also get lucky. I'm not sure if Decentraland has the timing right, or if something else will eclipse them eventually. They may also face regulation, as the rules in this digital space are yet undefined. So far as governments are concerned, I'm specifically thinking about gambling, which is very popular in Decentraland, legally precarious to say the least. So far, things are looking promising. Next, Axey Infinity. Axey Infinity is a play-to-earn, NFT-based, turn-based role-playing game? Man, that is a mouthful. When I was a kid, video games were like side-scrollers and shooters. It was pretty straightforward. Anyway, back to the point. Axey Infinity features little cute creatures, the Axies, that you can breed, battle, and barter. There are 2 associated cryptocurrencies, AXS, Axey Infinity Shards, which is a governance token for the ecosystem, and SLP, Smooth Love Potion, which is used in-game to breed the Axies. Now, in a recent video, I talked about Logan Paul's Zoo token, and I have a confession. I compared that project to Pokemon and Tamagotchi, but I should have brought up Axey Infinity because this game is a perfect synthesis of the Pokemon and Tamagotchi dynamics, and in my opinion does a much better job than Logan Paul's Zoo project, at least so far. Okay, so this project doesn't look anything like what we imagine when somebody says the metaverse. These are little pudgy cartoon characters, not Parzival from Ready Player One. There's no sense of 3D depth or immersion. However, there is an important aspect here that will be critical to the fully fleshed out immersive metaverse. That is, real stakes in the form of NFTs that change hands through gameplay, and the play-to-earn aspect, where players earn actual valuable assets. Think about it like this. Legacy games are pay-to-play. You buy the game, you buy the gear, and you have the joy of playing the game. Increasingly, that paradigm is being flipped on its head, where you dive in, maybe you have to pay a little up front for some assets, but after that, they pay you to play. Win in the game, and you win assets that hold value beyond the confines of the game. Imagine if when the original NES came out, the coins you gathered in Mario or Zelda were actually worth something in the real-world economy. It would totally change the nature of the game. Another framing on this. For a while now, people have been trying to figure out how to gamify work. How can we make work fun? How can we have employees earn points and playfully compete? Those efforts have mostly failed. Work is work, it's not usually fun, and most people look forward to the weekends, not Mondays. But now that paradigm is getting flipped, in that instead of gamifying work, things like Axey Infinity are workifying games. By making the assets genuinely valuable in the real economy, it incentivizes serious play. For instance, according to a Capital.com article from September 9th, most of the Axey Infinity players are from the Philippines, and they are not playing for fun. They're playing for a real income that they can use to buy essential life items. This game is their job. It's a little dystopian, but welcome to 2021. What has not been dystopian in the last couple of years? Get with the program, guys. The point is, this play-to-earn, serious, real-world value model will continue in full force, full speed, and it will spread, and it will be a core component to the metaverse. Next, the Sandbox. This is an interesting project. Like Decentraland, it deals in virtual real estate in a digital space. Like Axey Infinity, there are clear gameplay mechanics and incentivized play-to-earn elements. Ironically, it looks like Decentraland is a bit more of a metaphorical sandbox than the Sandbox is, because the Sandbox prescribes clear gameplay mechanics rather than entirely open-ended play experiences. This one has some interesting history, too. This project began in 2011 or 2012, depending on who you talk to. That's right, this project is a decade old, but when it started, it was just a mobile game on iOS and Android. And this was a very successful game gaining millions of users, and that's what it was for years, until it was acquired by Animoca Brands in 2018. That's when 2 big changes were set into motion. The game went from being a flat 2D game to a voxel-based 3D game, and Animoca specifically bought the Sandbox to turn it into a blockchain-based metaverse experience. Animoca hosted a few token sales, raised several $1 million, and today the Sandbox is in alpha with live gameplay from November 29th to December 20th before it moves on to a more open format. The Sandbox has a built-in voxel creator for making your avatar and other items in the game, including whole experiences for other players to try out. Alpha gameplay is, well, it's a bit complicated, honestly. To play the alpha, you have to get a pass pass, and then the pass grants you 3 gameplay NFTs and 1,000 sand tokens. Then you connect your Web3 wallet, then you can start playing in the alpha, completing quests, and at the end of the alpha, you can claim rewards for quests completed, and it's only available for Windows. But one thing that distinguishes the Sandbox from Decentraland is the history. This is a team that has already built a game that grew to many millions of players. And even though the Sandbox is only available on Windows for now, the team plans on bringing that blockchain NFT-based experience back to those mobile players. They had tens of millions. That would drive huge adoption for this. So, are these all the projects building the metaverse right now? Have I explained the metaverse comprehensively? No, not even close. It's a universe of universes. One thing that continually amazes me about this blockchain, Web3, metaverse stuff is that you never finish. They say that Aristotle knew everything there was to know in the 3rd century BC. When he was alive, he had learned the whole Western world's collected knowledge. If there was knowledge that had been written, he had read it. And in 2013, when I first got into Bitcoin, it really felt like that was possible in the blockchain space. It was all Bitcoin. There were no other cryptos to speak of. Litecoin was around, but Ethereum wasn't. The Bitcoin white paper is only 11 pages. There isn't even that much technical stuff in there. If you were attending events in 2013, you could know everybody in the space, what they were doing, what was going on, and you could know it all, or close to it. But that has not been the case now for years. Certainly not since the 2017 ICO boom, and it's just getting silly. There's no way to know everything sometimes about single projects because they're all constantly evolving and changing. We're in a Cambrian explosion of Web3 and metaverse experimentation, and I don't see things slowing down anytime soon. My advice for you perfectionists like me, don't lose sleep over this, like I have, staying up late, learning about all this stuff. Don't be anxious, just understand that there's a lot out there, and you don't have to know it all. Thankfully, there are a lot of ways to win in the big game of the evolving internet. Pick where to play and have fun. So, are there metaverse projects we need to dive into next? Do we need to do a deep dive on Mark Zuckerberg and Meta? Is Mark Zuckerberg really a reptilian alien? That's not a question. He obviously is. Sometimes just bears repeating. Let me know your thoughts, questions, hopes, fears, dreams, and ambitions all down below in the comments. We will talk about it in an upcoming video. Thanks, team.